Okay, next up we have Warriedar Resources. Warriedar trading under the ASX code WA8 with a market cap of around 30 million. It is an advanced gold and copper exploration business with an existing resource base of approximately 2 million ounces of gold across Western Australia and Nevada. The company's Golden Range and Fields Find projects in WA sit in the middle of the highly active Murchison exploration and mining province, which hosts substantial deposits of both gold and base metals. Presenting for us today is Warriedar MD, Dr. Amanda Buckingham. Amanda, welcome to the Hidden Gems webinar, and over to you.
Thank you, Paul. It's great to be here speaking to you today. This is our first participation in this webinar. So I'd like you all to look at that first slide. That geologist that you see in front of you, his name is Kyle. Now, he appears on all our investor presentations. He is quite an incredible geologist. He spends weeks at a time out on the project, mapping, meticulously recording details of structure, lithology, alteration, building up the gold story. Now, I lead a team of highly motivated, driven explorers just like Kyle. And we have been out quietly drilling away in the Murchison in Western Australia at our gold project. Drilling for gold, and finding good, high-quality, mineable gold. And we believe we're onto something big. So let me talk you through it. 2 slides ahead, please. So what do we have? Well, Warriedar has 3 projects, one in Nevada called Big Springs, and 2 in Western Australia, Golden Range and Fields Find. And our gold resource is pretty evenly split between both projects, about 1 million ounces in each location. Big Springs, just over 1 million ounces, is on a permitted mining lease in Nevada, right alongside a 10 million ounce mine complex. Now, more recently, we took on the Golden Range and Fields Find projects. In fact, 14 months ago, we decided to move into our own backyard, and our focus has been the Golden Range and Fields Find projects for the last year, and that's what I'll be talking about today. Next slide, please. So Golden Range, you can see the map on the right-hand side. It sits in the middle of the richly mineralised Murchison province. We are surrounded by active mines and advanced exploration projects. Now, we don't have a small resource on a postage stamp. We own a commanding land position. We own the entire central greenstone belt. It's actually 70 kilometres of the main mineralised shear that we own. So there is an incredible opportunity for scale at this project. In terms of infrastructure, we have our own processing plant by virtue of this having been an operating mine up until the middle of 2019. But that plant could only process shallow, soft oxide ore. And as a result, the previous explorers had no interest in the fresh rock zone. And therein lies the opportunity for us. So we are surrounded by good infrastructure. There are copper and gold processing plants in the vicinity. We have Silver Lake's deflector mine and operation immediately to the west. To the northeast, Ramelius's Mount Magnet, a 6 million ounce complex, is about 120 k's from our project. And Capricorn Metals, their Mount Gibson gold project, is down to the south, a great role model for us, something we are trying to copy. Similar rocks, similar geology. An important point to note here, the deposits in this area, they all tap deep. And by that, I mean they start close to surface and they keep going. Our project, the average drilling is about 42 metres. So we really don't know how deep these deposits go, but we know in the area, they generally tap deep. So it's a remarkable opportunity for us. Next slide, please. So what are we doing? What is our strategy this year? Well, we have a 3-pronged strategy. This map shows you a zoomed in view of our main project, Golden Range, and you can see the annotation called Golden Corridor. Now that is where we have most of the gold, and that is our focus this year. We spent most of 2023 drilling, accumulating, understanding, working out how to de-risk and where to focus. And our focus this year is on Ricardo and the Golden Corridor at the Golden Range project. So I'll talk you through these 3 prongs of the strategy. Next slide, please. The Ricardo deposit, it is the largest of the deposit in our portfolio. It's just under 500,000 ounces in the JORC resource. Now, we drilled here early last year and we were really encouraged by the results. We went back out in December and drilled 3 more holes. There's nothing more fabulous than having samples in the lab over Christmas. And so we came back in January, we got good results. We fast-tracked the next program. And so we're sitting now with all but 3 holes back with some fantastic results. You can see on the right there the close-up view of Ricardo. Up to the north, we've got the Ardmore pit, 32 metres at 3.6 grams per tonne, a superb outcome, and that hole ends in mineralisation. We need to diamond tail it. At Silverstone, 11 metres at 3.4, 8 metres at 11.4, good quality intercepts. Importantly, the next slide, please. These intervals, they're good on their own, but they form part of the larger understanding, or in context, they're even better, because what we have done is we've extended the boundaries of the existing resource. We've proven that the high-grade shoots have good continuity and we've extended them. And importantly, we modelled this resource and we hypothesised that there were more high-grade shoots and we hit 2 of them. So we are really pleased with these results. We still have 3 holes yet to come back and we'll be out drilling again in May at Ricardo. Next slide, please. The Golden Corridor. So Ricardo sits in the middle of the Golden Corridor, but it is a 25-kilometre long trend of gold deposits. There are 6 deposits in the trend, 18 historic pits, all connected, pardon me, via a good operational haul road, and importantly, they're all on mining leases, continuous mining leases. Now, the historic drilling across this project has an average depth of 42 metres, pardon me. And as I mentioned earlier, the deposits in this area, they tap deep. So we've hardly even started in terms of uncovering what lies below. And the drilling we've done to date has proven that these deposits keep going and they have quality grade. And we're still pretty shallow. Like the results at Ricardo, you're not even past 150 metres vertical depth and you've got grades of 11.4. So it is an emerging solid gold story. In 2023, we drilled quite a lot and we extended 5 of the deposits. And you can see here, Austin, we've extended 2 metres at 20 metres at 2 grams. M1, we haven't touched yet. We're about to drill there. Windwell, I'll show you on the next slide. Ricardo, our key focus at the moment. And Sprite and Bug-Eye, not even touched yet. So a remarkable opportunity with significant opportunity for extension. Next slide, please. This is just a close look at Windwell. It's one of those deposits in the Golden Corridor. Now, we drilled here during the first half of last year, and we were quite pleased. We show that the high-grade shoot to the north of the main deposit, it's far more continuous at depth. We added 150 metres to it, and we got solid intervals down at that depth. So we will be back at Windwell drilling this year. Next slide, please. The third prong of our 3-prong strategy, the discovery of new additional gold deposits. This is probably the aspect of this opportunity that I love the most. We own 70 kilometres of this shear. Most of it is underexplored. I believe there's a good chance of additional new blind gold deposits along the shear. So we will execute an optimal program, low cost and effective, throughout this year. We'll focus on drilling at the Golden Corridor, but we'll quietly work away at building up our understanding of where these additional gold deposits are. So we have existing resources, immediate upscale potential at those resources. We're drilling under historic pits. It's a simple but proven strategy. And then we have the added option of the scale to add additional resources and increase the scale of this gold play is an incredible third prong to our strategy. That's a nice photo actually of what it looks like out on the ground. Next photo, please. Next slide. So I've had a few shareholders saying to me, we need a timetable. So I finally put one in, and it just gives an idea of what we're planning to do this year. I'm of course allowed to change it at any time based on results, but it's good for shareholders to know what we see the year, how we see the year unfolding. There'll be a lot of drilling and a lot of news. We'll be building Ricardo, the Golden Corridor, and looking for additional deposits along that 70-kilometre shear. A good allocation of funds, I say. Next slide, please. So we have two other projects that I mentioned briefly earlier. The Fields Find project is a copper gold project. We spent quite a lot of time and effort on it last year. It's a fantastic greenfields opportunity. Right now, we need to allocate funds to Golden Range, but at the appropriate time, we will be back at Fields Find. There's no time to go into it, but I'd love to talk about it separately. Next slide, please. Likewise, for Big Springs, our original flagship project in Nevada, 1 million ounces of gold on a permitted mining lease, right alongside a 10 million ounce mining complex. An incredible opportunity. Look at those grades. They are eye-watering. 18 metres at 33, 6 high-grade chutes completely open at depth. We are looking for the right partner to progress that project. As I said, our focus is on Golden Range and defining our gold in WA. Next slide, please. So I have a fantastic board, a small functional board. We all have different backgrounds and we bring to the table different experience. We work well. Capital structure, look, we are well set up for what we plan to do this year and into the future. Next slide, please. So in summary, we do have a solid resource base of 2 million ounces of gold. We have been out actively drilling in the Murchison, drilling for gold and finding gold. We are spending our funds in the ground as much as possible, and that is really paying off for us. We do believe we are an emerging gold story. Every hole that we have drilled this year has hit significant gold, and we plan to keep that record. Thank you.
Amanda, many thanks. That's a great presentation, and you just listening to you there, you're obviously incredibly excited about the future of this project, and also very meticulous in the work that you're doing to make sure you're drilling in the right places. That came across loud and clear. Now, a question here. Let's just talk about maybe some of you're surrounded by several large gold players. How does the Golden Range project compare to your neighbours?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So we look at that closely. So and also look at the history of the development of the project. So let's look at Capricorn Metals, their Mount Gibson Gold Project. They got that in 2021. And I think it was, let me get these numbers right, 2.1. They've got it up to 3.2 million ounces. They drilled 200,000 metres of RC, I think. And it's a very similar scenario. Now, they are excellent low-grade operators. We would like to replicate what we see there on our own ground, but we have we've got these high-grade chutes that we are chasing, as well as defining a lot of low-grade shallow gold. So we'd like to copy Capricorn, but also what we'd like to do is look at what Ramelius to our northeast, Mount Magnet. I mean, they are mining at 1,400 metres, and you look at where they started. They started in a similar situation to us with these shallow oxide gold resources, several open pits, no real understanding of what was at depth. Fast forward to now, they're mining at 1,400 metres, and the average drilling across our ground is 43 metres. So it is a remarkable opportunity. The deposits in our belt, they do tap deep. It is the nature of the system here. And Golden Grove, 2,000 metres. And that's a different system. That's, copper zinc. But we also, and don't let me get on one of my wild rants about how exciting copper is, but we have a lot of copper, base metal opportunities on our ground as well that we are carefully building up. One thing, because we're small, we can't be all over the place. We've committed to building the resources at Golden Range, and we are going to do that well. But in parallel, we will keep other ideas and projects moving along. And the nice thing about small companies, you can pivot quickly. If someone wants copper, we can play that flag again.
Indeed. And the recent results at Ricardo look very, very exciting. How will these impact your resource modelling?
Yeah, great question. Well, we have our own team, and then we have some excellent resource modelling mining people assisting us. So we are working towards upgrading the Ricardo resource, as well as all the resources in the Golden Corridor. But right now, our key focus is planning the next drilling program at Ricardo that will start in May, planning that to optimise the future resource upgrade to make sure we get as much gold in that resource as possible.
And a question here, Amanda, you did touch on this earlier with regard to the Big Springs project in Nevada, with regard to that JV partner search. Any update on how progress is going there with that JV partner?
Nothing I can talk about, but I will say there's far more interest this year than there was at the end of last year. I think obviously with the gold price being very favourable, and I don't pretend to understand the markets or the macro context. I read a lot about it, but I'm just very pleased that people are starting to appreciate 1 million ounces of gold on a permitted mining lease in Nevada. That is valuable. Right next to a 10 million ounce mine complex, we could truck to that mill. Our ore is compatible. We've got a drill program ready to execute. It's a magnificent project. So yes, we have had some good interest this year, and I'm optimistic we can find the right path for that project.
Man, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today for the first time. Really exciting project that you have. I think it obviously helps that there's a lot of bullish forecasts out for gold and copper, and we'll certainly be keeping a close eye on you and have you back in the second half of the year to get an update. Thank you for your time.
Love to. Thank you, Paul.